there, Shauna Hay-Viets here. I am going to share with you a workshop that I just conducted this morning. This is one of my favorite workshops to lead. It is a quarterly reflection and it's a two-parter. So this is part one. Part two, I'll be recording live tomorrow. Now, if this is your kind of thing and you like to embrace reflections and be guided through a reflection to really help you process the experiences that you've been through in the last month or quarter, or as far back as you'd like, really, then I invite you to join me. And this is a sample or an example of a workshop that I will be hosting regularly in my Skool Community, Yoga Habits for Self-Care. A reflection habit is very powerful to help you feel grounded in all of the wonderful things that are happening to you and to give you some time to embrace gratitude and feel the joy of all the good things that are happening in your life. And it also gives you an opportunity to process some of the challenges that you might be going through. Whether it's something that is an unexpected temporary situation you had to go through, or something that's going on still that you might want to change. So enjoy this example of this workshop. I did have one of my community members joining me live, and you'll get to see how it went. If you are interested in this or other similar topics, go ahead and join us in my community. You'll see the link below. I can't wait to hear what you think. So check it out.
Okay, so we have started the recording. We are officially going to kick off this guided reflection. So yeah, I have lots of this process is sort of like an accordion. It can get really, really big and expansive, or we can do a really small, quick version of it. Today, we're going to do a small to medium size of it. So yeah, the way this process really works, again, it can get really expansive. I find that if we try to spend too much time in reflection, we can get a little overwhelmed. So we're going to do just a short little version of it today. What I would recommend to have to get started is just something to jot some notes down on. And then if you happen to use your digital calendar or a paper planner, those are helpful to have handy. And then also, I really like going through my photos app as well as a refresher, because sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know what happened yesterday. So sometimes I need a little bit of a refresher on, realizing what happened so I can add a reflection to it. So while we're kind of getting all that situated, I'll just share too. I think that's really a good way to share, why do we want to do a reflection? I think that, like I said, I know myself, I get so caught up in the doing of the day. I have two little kids, so I'm managing a house, I'm managing all the schedules. And so, but no matter what season of life we're in, we can end up being so busy. And sometimes it's really addicting to be busy and to be productive. And you feel this like kind of this little sense of satisfaction. It's almost like a little rush of pride and accomplishment when you're like, oh, I'm just checking stuff off the to-do list. But I find that if we don't take a minute to pause and reflect, we kind of miss out on the fruits of the labor of all the work that we've been doing. And when you do eventually stop, you might feel less accomplished or less proud or less satisfied with what you've been doing, because you haven't had a chance to enjoy it. You haven't had a chance to embrace it or process it. And this goes for the good and the bad. So whether if it's something that's good, it's important that we take a few moments to ground ourselves in that goodness so we can feel grateful, so we can have that boost that keeps us going. And then we're a little more prepared for when things do eventually become a struggle, because struggles happen to all of us. And remembering the good helps get us through those trialing times. And it's also helpful to process struggles and trailing times. I am not a officially, like, I'm not a trauma certified instructor in any way, but I do know that it's important to allow ourselves to process struggles and challenges in a constructive way. Otherwise, they just loom over us for as long as it takes for us to process them. So by going through these exercises on a regular basis, I find that it helps us ground ourselves, embrace gratitude, let ourselves feel happier more for all the good things that are happening. And then it gives us the opportunity to process some of the things that are struggling us so that we can either close the door and let them go or make changes if it's something that's perpetuating into the future. We can get ourselves out of certain situations if we have a minute to say, I don't like this. So that's sort of my pitch on why I think this is such a helpful exercise. But let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm not going to bring up slides. This is going to be really casual. In the future, if we want this to turn into something a little more formal, we definitely can. But we're just going to start today with doing a little bit of a grounding, breathing exercise to get us in the mindset. And then we're just going to jot down some notes and see what comes to mind. So let's do it. All right, so from where you are, just get comfortable. Try to sit tall. If you can, come in contact with the floor with your feet, or if you have something for your arms to rest on, allow yourself to feel supported. If it feels okay to do so, gently close your eyes and just take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out. And take a larger, slightly deeper inhale through the nose, feeling your lungs expand and allowing the breath to get a little deeper into the belly. Gently exhale everything out effortlessly. And then take a slightly larger breath still, seeing if we can really bring in a fresh wave of breath into our lungs, feeling expansive from the inside out, like we're growing. And then exhale to let it all go, shrinking back to normal size. And then just allow your breath to gently flow effortlessly from inhale to exhale, trying to make that transition as smooth as possible. Allowing your breath to be your point of focus for your attention at this moment. Trying to block out any of those distractions that you might be hearing, or even other thoughts or to-dos lingering in our mind. Noting that there will always be distractions, whether physical or mental. And so using our breath to come back to our intention, to guide our attention, is always there for us. And now that your attention is focused on your breath, allow your mind to roll back your memories toward the beginning of the year. And don't strain if memories are not jumping out at you. That is a-okay. This is not about auditing anything. We're just seeing what jumps out at us. So allowing your attention to go back to New Year's Eve 2025, bringing in New Year's Day 2026. Just observing if you have any memories that jump out, any traditions that you practice for New Year's. any goals that you had set or intentions that you had made that you hoped to achieve this year. And as memories might come to you, allow yourself to acknowledge them without any sort of judgment. It's all right if we did not maintain a habit that we had started, or if we have yet to achieve a goal we set. We're just observing what actually happened, and we're letting go of any judgment or opinions that we have about what happened. And then allow the film strip of your memories in your mind, allow it to roll forward slightly, and just scan in your memory the month of January. Were there any holidays that you celebrated? Any big events, birthdays, anniversaries, travel? Is anything jumping out to you that happened in January? And again, if you are drawing a blank, worry not. We have tools that will help us jog our memory. Let's just see what does jump out at us. And then let's just move forward in the timeline and think about what may have happened in February. Anything that happened to you personally, any birthdays, anniversaries, milestones, events, big projects, or travel. We had the holiday of Valentine's Day. And then we'll just scan forward once again to look through March. March just ended a couple weeks ago, or not even. Hasn't even been that long. Did you have any celebrations, milestones, anniversaries, events, or travel that came up in March? And just allow yourself to scan through the first quarter of the year, acknowledging that this year is 25% through. And just noticing how that makes you feel about the rest of the year. Does it give you a sense of motivation to return to some of your intentions? Does it give you a sense of ease? Maybe some excitement of what's to come for the remainder of this year? Or are you completely at peace with what has been and what is yet to be? Take a slightly deeper inhale through the nose and allow yourself to return to this present day and this present time. Remembering what you did this morning before being on this call today, what you had for breakfast or lunch, and just coming back to the floor, the ground, your surroundings. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and come back to the room. So hopefully that jogged a little bit of memory and reflection on some of the things that happened. Now, a quarter can be a long time. A lot can happen in 90 days. So that is one of the reasons why I like to try to do this monthly. It just gives you a little less homework to do. But now what we're going to do is we're just going to take a few minutes to start jotting down some notes. And so if you have your paper handy, and in this time, we can use our calendar, our planner, or even our photos if we want to scan through And what I'd like you to do is just make a line for each month and just write down a couple of bullet points of what happened in that month. We don't have to be overly explanatory. We're not turning this in. But it's just nice to say what actually happened. What are the things that happened in January? What are the things that happened in February? And what are the things that happened in March? So let's take a few minutes and we'll jot some of that down.
So at this point in the workshop, I turned on a little bit of background music and gave us some time to jot down our notes on our reflection for the last 3 months. Now, because I'm sharing this video on YouTube, I'm not able to include the section with the music that I played for copyright protections. So take this opportunity to pause, turn some music on for yourself, add your reflections, and then come back when you're ready.
So this is something that can take just a moment, but I call this the pie of life reflection. And once I get it up here, you may have seen other books or other concepts of this. I'm definitely not the first person who thought of this, but I like to use this as a tool for my reflection and for goal setting. So, can you see that okay?
Uh-huh.
So, this is what I did kind of define the categories myself, but this is my version of the pie of life. So, the pie of life is basically all the categories that I could think of. You're welcome to change them and make them your own. But all of the categories that I could think of that my life kind of gets bucketed into. So, what I like to do is part of my reflection is I like to score my subjective level of satisfaction in each of these areas at this moment in time. So what that does for me, this can feel a little jarring. Where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to rate all of these categories. Take it as you wish, but the way I use it is I like to just take a snapshot of how am I feeling about this category in my life at this moment in time. And I use this as a tool to practice non-judgment of myself. So you might feel like, ooh, if I rate something low, does that make me a bad person? Or does that make me a bad family member? Or does that mean I don't love myself? Or I'm not productive, so I'm lazy? So as we go through this, we have to challenge ourselves to not be judgmental about ourselves. We have to recognize that this is a tool that we can use to take control of our life and make choices on what is most important to us and how do we want to improve those areas. So if something feels low, just remember that's okay. This is a static reflection, it's a snapshot, and we can always change it. And the purpose of this in part two is so we can start to prioritize the things we do want to work on. But as part one, let's just see how we're feeling about each of these areas. So I'll just go through and name them out, and you can just throw a number on there and see how we feel about it. So self love is very much, how are we feeling about my relationship with myself? Am I kind to myself? Am I forgiving of myself? Am I defensive of my own time, my own priorities, my own needs? Am I taking care of myself? That's self love. Productivity is, how do I spend my time? Do I feel like I'm doing the things in my life that I want to do? Totally subjective. Doesn't matter what you're being productive in, whether it's organizing your house or doing things at work or cleaning your backyard. Do you feel like you are doing things that matter, that you're being productive with your time in whatever your definition of productivity is? The next three are all different types of relationships. How am I satisfied with my family relationships? This could be your immediate family or your extensive family. You can go as far out as second cousins if you want. I've had people who do this say to me, this alone made me want to reach out to people. And they did. And it was great. So this is a great way to say, how am I doing with my relationships? Do I want more, or am I getting a little too much? And do I want a little less of some people? And then we have our friendships. Again, this can be as big or as narrow as you'd like. Do I feel like I want more friends? Do I want to reach out and meet new people? Or do I feel really solid in the quality of the quantity of the friendships that I have? Your romantic relationship, are you in a partnership? Do you want to be in a partnership? Those are valid questions that you can answer. Career satisfaction, this isn't about money. Money has its own place, but do I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do in terms of my career choice? Or do I want to change careers? Or do I feel unfulfilled? Or do I want a promotion? Or am I overworked? These are some of the questions we can ask ourselves in regards to career satisfaction. Hobbies and fun. Do I let myself have fun? Do I have a hobby? Do I want to have a hobby? Do I prioritize enough time to doing things that are just fun for the sake of fun? Whether it's a local, community type sport, or going on hikes or runs, or, things that are just fun. Maybe joining a crafting thing that you're really interested in. Health and fitness. Do I feel healthy in my body, in my mind? Do I feel like I'm prioritizing this? Or is it not a priority right now? I don't have the time for it. I'm lowering it on the priority list, and I'm okay with that. Financial security can be a huge source of stress. So, how do I feel about my financial security? Do I feel stressed about it? Do I feel do I feel wealthy? Do I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck? Just giving yourself a sense of how satisfied you are. And then the other one, the last one, is our values category. This can kind of be a catch all for anything that is just meaningful to you that may not have been otherwise covered. um, you know, if you are a person of faith or spirituality, am I prioritizing going to church, or, getting involved in my community? Maybe it's less about religion and more about environment. And, am I being with nature as much as I want to? Am I helping sustainably, the planet, whatever I can do? So this is just a great way to do a snapshot and just give ourselves a little rating. If you like the circle pie, you're welcome to kind of color it in as well. And I would I'm the kind of person that I would never put a 10, I'd never put a 1 on any of these. You certainly can. Absolutely. I'm that kind of person that's like there's never a 10 and there's also never a 1. But it's nice to see you're objectifying your own subjectivity. You're quantifying some of your feelings, and these are things that we may not think about very often because we like to just dust under the rug anything that's uncomfortable for us. So I invite anybody in the replay that's watching this, take this with a grain of salt, but as a tool to allow yourself to make decisions and take ownership of what matters most to you. Don't let it overwhelm you. You cannot prioritize all 10 at one time. When we come into the goal settings section of things tomorrow, we're going to look at this and we're going to start to pick a couple that we want to improve, but we are not going to say, "Oh my God, I'm a 2 on all of them, and now I have to to get better in all of them." No, we're not going to do that. But we are going to say, "Okay, I see some room for opportunity," because again, so tomorrow we're going to come back to this. We're going to look at our current score, but then we're going to look at our priority level, because these cannot all be a priority. We have to say, okay, which ones are the priorities right now? And we're going to let the rest go for now. We can always come back to them in another quarter or another month. But when we prioritize them, then we can start to make small, tiny little adjustments to improve them and just really boost our level of satisfaction in that area. So, how does that feel?
Sounds good.
Okay. I know when I started to do this, I could easily see this being overwhelming. If you let, I get into my head a lot. So I get into the like,
I've limited myself to 3 bullet points for each month, and then was completely honest with the pie of life, even if I didn't like the way it looked on the paper.
I love that. That's so good. And you're letting it go, which is, I can tell you're already approaching this the right way. I like to throw in all those
Manifestation
caveats
is
because
not
I
as
am
hard
the
as
kind of
people
person
make
that
it
can
out to be.
spiral. I'm sorry, what was that?
Manifestation is not as hard as people make it out to be. As long as you are grateful for what you have, more will come to you.
That is so true. That is so true. And this is not we're not taking this as an opportunity to criticize ourselves. We are taking this as an opportunity of self-awareness. Yep.
We listen and
All
we
right.
don't judge ourselves.
It's hard. It's really hard. That's why I like to bring these things up so much because I think that, I mean, I know I can be a very judgmental person of myself. And so I don't like to assume everybody else has that same problem, but I know
Most
that
people
it
do.
can be very common. So I want to give grace and space for us to say it's okay if we struggle with that. But we don't have to. We can get better at it. So
One
put
thing
that in
that
the
I've
self-love
learned
category.
with doing shadow work is to imagine that you're talking to your best friend when you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to yourself. Because you wouldn't say some of the stuff you say in your head to your best friend.
And sometimes you don't even know you're saying it to yourself,
Right.
which is the tricky part. You don't even, it's in there. The track, the talk
Mhm.
track is going and you don't even hear the words, but you're feeling the results of that talk track in how you look at yourself. And so that's why I think that putting some of these things on paper and starting to listen to the talk track to know what it is saying. And then you realize, oh, heck no, that's mean. I would never say that to
Mhm.
somebody else. Why am I saying that to myself? That's the power that we can really tap into with meditation. And it's all connected. So,
Yes, it is.
absolutely, though, you're absolutely right. All righty, let's just do a quick cleansing breath before we close, and then we can take this and release it until we come back to it tomorrow. There we go. Okay. All righty. Let's come back to our seat. Let's come back to this present moment, to the room that's around us. Softly closing the eyes, taking a deep breath in through the nose. And this time, let's bring one hand to our heart and one hand to our belly, closing our loop. Just allowing ourselves to feel the present body, knowing that there is so much value in all of our experiences that have led up to this moment in time. And there is so much room for opportunity ahead of us. And we have every chance to take that opportunity and achieve our wildest goals, our biggest dreams, and our greatest joys. But we can also find gratitude in each moment with each breath. So, on this next inhale, just think of one simple thing that you are grateful for, whether it's in this present moment or in the last 3 months that you just reflected on. And when you're ready, come back to the room, come back to the body, and we can open our eyes. All right. We did it. Our first quarterly guided reflection. I'll be glad to share this with the group, so I'll put the replay in there.
Alrighty, my friend, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me and being part of this recording of our first guided reflection that took place in our Skool Community Yoga Habits for Self-Care. This is the kind of thing that we really want to build upon, building sustainable, accessible habits that can help us feel more fulfilled in our life and continue to make progress toward our best goals. So there will be a part 2 of this that's happening what is live tomorrow in my calendar. I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 7th. So it'll be live in our Skool Community Wednesday, April 8th. I'll be glad to share that recording as well so you get a taste of the full thing. But better yet, just come join us. The link is below and I'll see you there. Bye for now.